Hey, I'm Matthew Jude from This Game Is Broken, and whether you're new to the hobby or a seasoned gamer, it seems there's always another game on the shelf waiting to be discovered. In this episode, we're going to cover 10 games that caught our eyes this past month, both new and old, that we wanted to make sure didn't go overlooked. Welcome to the top 10 games we couldn't overlook this month, and today's episode is made possible in part by Kapow from White Wizard Games. In Kapow, players go head to head in a classic explosive clash of good versus evil. Choose to be a villain or a hero, which determines your starting traits, dice and unique abilities. Players gain additional blank action dice with removable faces that can be customised to enhance their character. The combination of choosing how best to grow your dice pool, how to customise your action die faces, and how to use each roll you make sets the stage for a strategic showdown. Build a character, roll your dice, then allocate attacks, defence and power-up abilities. Superhero or super villain, you decide in Kapow, the customisable dice building game. First up on this month's list is the seemingly unassuming Metro X, the rail and write game, because it's about trains, in which players create subway networks by filling in station spaces on their individual game sheets. Using the numbers revealed by the cards that are played, or players fill up their station spaces on their subway map. However, just like trying to eat a grilled cheese sandwich while taking a shower, while tempting, it's not quite that easy. The number of times that stations can be added to each line is limited, so players have to make tough choices. Players score points and bonuses in a variety of ways, and once all indicator boxes are filled, the game ends. Players then score points by completing lines and for writing numbers in boxes, but lose points for any empty spaces that remain on the sheet. In the end, the player with the highest score wins. You know, if there's one thing that board games have taught me, it's that monarchies aren't as stable and secure as I thought they were. Also, purple tends to mean end of game scoring for some reason. Take for example the next game that's on this month's list, Majesty for the Realm, in which the royal crown is yet again up for grabs to whoever can build the richest domain and seize it from their rivals. And your rivals mean business, so it will take an entire kingdom's worth of people to accomplish your courtly crown acquisition. I'd have simply held a battle royale, but that's just me perhaps. As a result, each game players recruit characters to perform jobs and generate gold for their kingdom. Some characters work better with others, opening many synergistic paths to glory. Whether a player chooses to be a silver-tongued monarch who rules with mercy or an iron-fisted tyrant who crushes their rivals, that one, they're still both apparently still some type of medieval cyborg, which I am willing to believe. It's up to each player to find the combination that helps their kingdom rise while stymieing their opponent's efforts. Raise your banners, fill your coffers, keep your grilled cheese sandwiches dry and crispy, and stake your claim for Majesty. In Majesty for the Realm. For the Realm. I'd like to start this next segment with a slight pause, followed by a deep breath. According to Ton Al Poili, it's that time of year again. You've seen Zio Chicutli's endorsements on billboards and heard Mitian Chicutli's radio ads. The election of the Aztec High Priest is imminent in the next game, Quatro. In Quatro, named after the beautiful sculptures of feathered snakes it incorporates, players compete to prove their value and merit in order to win the favour of the gods as to gain the coveted title of High Priest. Coming later this month from Synapsis Games, Quatro has players working to build the most beautiful and valuable serpents, or Quatro, which are constructed with a head, a tail, and a number of body tiles, each made from chunky, colourful plastic. On a turn, players will either take tiles from the central boards to their personal board or work to construct one of the Quatros with the different tiles they've collected in order to fulfill as many pattern objectives as possible to score big Aztec Favour High Priest type points. Once a player fulfills their third Quatro, the game ends. Players receive points for fulfilling objectives and the one with the most is named the new High Priest. This is a very impressive looking family game that gives other popular titles in this category a run for their money, or however you define the way snakes move. Like this. The Tigris River winds through the cradle of civilization, providing food, water, melted cheese, and a means of transportation for trade and the dissemination of ideas between the various cities and towns along its banks. In Trade on the Tigris, each player represents one of those cities. Each round, they gain development cards that provide new abilities, produce resources in the form of cards, trade them with other players in the form of humans, and turn those sets in for profit in the form of points, because it's a board game. However, of course, inevitably the side effect of this interaction with others is the sharing of philosophies such as the Sumerian approach to wealth distribution or Mesopotamian artisanal grilled sandwich craftsmanship. As a result, the primary religion and government of your city may be shaken to its very core. After 5 rounds, the game ends and then you realise that you've just been tricked into making another arguably forced grilled cheese sandwich reference that in retrospect could not have been worth all the effort that it took. Some say life's a circus, others say it's a family circus, but not me. I say it's a magnificent circus, like the economic tile placement drafting game The Magnificent from Porter Games. Also, no one says life's a circus, but that's not important because in The Magnificent, players compete to attract the largest audience to their shows featuring stunning performers. But again, nobody says life's a circus, that's not a phrase. In the process, each player must expand their camp by placing Tetris-style tiles on their player board, gathering elements needed for the shows and set up performances in their tents. Players draft dice from the supply, which they use to carry out various actions: build, travel, perform. The more strength one has, the better the action will be, but at the end of the round, each player must pay the total of their highest valued dice colour. Thus, while taking dice of the same colour grant better actions, it could also be a costly investment, like when I was sold to the circus after a poker game gone awry in the late 80s. After 3 rounds, the game ends and the player who has produced the most impactful performance will collect the most points. And speaking of magnificent things, here's my friend Paula, who wrote this segue, it seems, with a scoop about the sponsor that helped make the rest of this episode possible. The Seventh Citadel, an all-new cooperative exploration and adventure game from the creators of the immensely popular Seventh Continent.
In this post-apocalyptic medieval fantasy world, you play as a slave gardener who escapes from the citadel of necro-druid Ninadazir, only to find yourself confronted by an even greater threat. Mondays, am I right? Freely explore the collapsing lands by gradually revealing the board using numbered terrain and event cards. Interact with your environment and converse with its inhabitants. As the scenarios unfold, choices, for better or worse, lead players inexorably toward the epic finale against the threat. The Seventh Citadel provides 1 to 4 players with over 1,000 minutes of adventure to experience. A collector's edition of the game will only be available on Kickstarter starting September 22nd. So, if you love a tangled web of mystery with lots of choices to make, follow the link in this video's description to check out the Seventh Citadel's Kickstarter.
Many centuries ago, legendary smiths forged the Crown of Command, a magical artifact of immense power. Whoever wears the Crown of Command will hold power over all the land for some reason. And then one day, a powerful wizard, apparently weary of hat-based governance, sealed the Crown of Command behind a portal of power to prevent evil from obtaining it. Only those who possess one of the legendary talismans may pass through this portal to reach the crown. And that someone is you, and the 2 to 5 other people who are also gathered around your dining room table, which works out quite well, really. In Talisman, Legendary Tales, the players will travel across a wondrous land, making impactful decisions and defending themselves against cruel enemies. As an adventuring party, the players succeed only once they've completed their tasks and have recovered the talismans. But be careful, traveller, there's only a limited amount of time. Darren's older brother gets home at 7:30 and does need to use the dining room table to study for an ornithology midterm or home ec, or it's very hard to tell what he's up to, in all honesty. But he's mean. Next up is Iberian Gauge, first published by Winsome Games in 2017 and returning soon from Capstone Games. In Iberian Gauge, the talented designer Tom Russell is back, baby, with another of his twisty, tricky train games. This one also set on the Iberian Peninsula. Iberian Gauge supports 3 to 5 players. In it, stock ownership is an important factor, with each shareholder expanding the railroad. There are 5 railroads in the game, with tactics for leased track, stock value bonuses, and connection bonuses, all working together to increase the player's drive for expansion, or however, trains move, like this. Games of Iberian Gauge typically take about 90 minutes, at the end of which the player with the most cash and stock value wins the game. Stake your claim, build a thriving mining empire, and keep one step ahead of the competition, of course, with the next game on this month's list, Rolled West. Rolled West, a dice rolling game from Tasty Minstrel Games that's not to be confused with 2015's Gold West, also from Tasty Minstrel Games, and itself a very underrated game in my opinion. It's awesome, you should look into it after this video's ended, and you can't stop me from spreading the truth, YouTube. Gold West, massively, it's great, it's really good. What are we talking about? Oh yeah, during each round in Rolled West, players will extract goods from the land based on a roll of various custom dice, spend wood to make settlements and secure majorities in different terrain types, use metal to fulfill contracts, make sales or invest in a burgeoning boom town, bank resources during your opponent's turns to use later, mark your choices on the included dry erase scoreboards, all in the time it takes to toast a fresh slice of cheddar betwixt 2 golden pieces of bread to create a taste sensation that deteriorates quickly if gotten wet. Welcome to the Eastern Front. The date, October 1942. The setting for Heroes of Stalingrad from Devil Pig Games. Whilst the German armies have put their boot down and established firm control of the Western Front, their counterparts on the Eastern Front are kept very busy in the USSR. The area lies in ruins after constant bombardment by the Luftwaffe, and you can't get a decent latte. Yet the Russians refuse to give up their city as intense combat ensues room to room for control of buildings as they are taken, lost, retaken time and again. Heroes of Stalingrad is a standalone war game in which players must make use of the dynamic and strategic hero system tactical scale and dive right into one of the most decisive battles of the Second World War. Play as your favourite heroes alongside friendly troops during 2-player games of 30 minutes or more. Perform heroic deeds of daring do or don't across modular boards with dice rolling and grid movement, fight hard, and in the end, truth, justice and access to an affordable double mocha cappuccino will certainly win the day, or at least make it slightly less terrible. Like now, for example. And topping our list of games we can't pass by this month is Flourish, a card drafting, garden building game coming later this year from Starling Games, in which players plan and build the garden of their dreams over the course of the growing season. With delightful imagery, players plan their gardens throughout the course of the game to collect the most points. My ideal garden has a half pipe in it and is at least 50% slip and slide, but that is not in the script. What is in the script is that Flourish is designed to be an easy to learn game that offers both competitive strategy and cooperative game modes. Plus it supports 1 to 7 players, providing a high level of accessibility and replayability. And then it might attract bees, if you play outside, I guess. Are bees attracted to pictures of flowers? Oh sure, but that would be neat, wouldn't it? And then you could collect and harvest their bee milk to make bee cheese, I guess. I wouldn't know. But I would like to say at this point, and I need to be very clear about this, I hate cheese. I truly do. But I do love board games, and there's the list of games we wanted to be sure did not go overlooked this month. Thanks for watching, and until next time, on behalf of This Game is Broken, Pair of Dice Paradise, and Watch It Played, I've been Matthew Jude. Take care.